Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, brothers? It's the director. Chargers fans, this was a tough one. It felt like a majority of the game, the Chargers were definitely going to grab that win. But there's really no sugarcoating it. We dropped this game. Chargers versus Chiefs. The after-game consequences were super, super big. Chargers had a chance to take the AFC West. And unfortunately, things did not unfold in the Chargers' favor. From a flurry of injuries to a lot of bad luck, this was a very, very unfortunate end to the Chargers' hopes to taking the division. But it's not over yet, man. It's not over yet. The Chargers' season is still very much so alive. The postseason hopes still very much so alive. But there's a lot of things in this video that we're going to uncover, you know, as far as the fans' perspective, my perspective, and things that happened in this game that maybe we could have done a little bit different. It feels like the Chargers fans are split on the coaching decisions, and we have every right to be upset. But in this video, I just want to make my emotions on the situation with the Chargers and this game in particular very clear, because it's definitely a lot to unpack in this one. There is a lot of good to take from this game despite the loss, and it may take some time for some Chargers fans, you know, to recover from honestly what should have been a win in order to see that perspective. And honestly, you know, my optimism remains really strong for the team. Some people may not feel the same way, and that's okay. Be mad today, bolt up tomorrow. Before we get started, guys, question for you guys in the comments. With the Chargers now at 8-6, what is your new year-end prediction for the Chargers and their record? Let me know in the comments section below. I'll give you guys my answer at the end of the video. As well, we do have a giveaway going on right now as a reminder for everybody. A signed Justin Herbert jersey for one of my lucky subscribers. It's coming up quick, guys. I think in the next week or so, we're going to be drawing a winner for this awesome jersey. Took a lot to get my hands on this. Super excited to give it away to one of you guys as a thank you for supporting my channel. All you got to do is hit up the link in the description. Follow the instructions there. Very, very simple. And make sure you are subscribed. Only subs can win. But of course, additionally, we have to give a shout out to our awesome crew members that help keep this channel running. We've got a signed Keenan Allen full-sized helmet for one of you lucky dogs in the crew. Guys, again, thank you so much for all your support. All you got to do to enter for this is be a member of my crew. That is it. We'll be drawing a winner around Christmas. And with that, let's get into this one. Before we do, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. Chargers versus Chiefs, the good fight post-game report of Week 15. Yeah, I know, guys, there's a lot of emotions floating around out there, and I'm hoping that we can find some clarity in today's video as we unpack the events of Week 15. Let's start off with our playoff outlook, as we always do with the Chargers nearing the playoffs right now with a good chance to make it. Of course, the Chiefs did go up to number 1, but keep in mind a lot of these are skewed until we finish the remainder of the games in Week 15. The Chargers, including them, at the 5th seed, they remain unchanged, but at the same time we got teams like the Colts and the Bills right behind us that could change things up a little bit. But honestly, with the strength of schedule that I'm seeing right now, the Chargers have a really, really solid chance to make the postseason. Around 60% chance, as a matter of fact, is last time I checked, again with a much higher percentage chance with the remaining strength of schedule. So that's where the Chargers sit right now. Again, don't lose faith in this team yet. I know yesterday was a crushing loss, but the Chargers are still very much so in it. Maybe it's one of the top teams to try and make a playoff berth, especially here in this wild card round. So let's open things up as far as unpacking the events of the game. A lot to cover. Honestly, so much to cover in this game, and I'm going to try and get through it as soon as possible. We have our opening statement here, though, before we do jump into all of that. Donald Parham, you guys will remember that he went down with a very scary injury in the first quarter, came down, stiffened up. It's one of the scariest injuries that you can see in the game of football. And the last I heard, he suffered a concussion. He's recovering. He should be released from the hospital soon. So our thoughts and prayers are with Donald Parham. It was definitely one of the more upsetting things I've ever seen as a Chargers fan. It really reminded me of that Malcolm Floyd injury so many years ago. Definitely scary, and you don't like to see it. But the last we heard, he's doing okay. He should be released from the hospital soon. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be upset, Chargers fans. I get it. Yesterday was tough. It's totally fine to be upset. Be mad today, bolt up tomorrow. We say that a lot on this channel as far as when the Chargers lose. But it's also okay to acknowledge that this was a hard-fought game. This was a hard-fought game. The Chargers came to play. The coaching came to be aggressive. They wanted to win this game despite, everything that was going on early even in that one. Because the Chargers definitely drew the short stick when it came to luck and health throughout this game. Not much more you can say there, man. Just sometimes you get unlucky, you draw the short stick, and unfortunately for the Chargers, that's how it unfolded in this one. The coaching philosophy has definitely been put into question with Chargers fans. I do see kind of a split between some people not liking the decisions for the field goals and the fourth down conversions, and some people standing by it. I personally stand by it, and we'll cover more of that in just a second. And to wrap up the opening statement, the Chargers are without a doubt a better team than the Chiefs as of right now. From what I saw yesterday, if a couple of things were different, if Derwin James was playing, if we had Asante Samuel Jr. out there, heck, even a Rashawn Slater, I think the Chargers definitely take the win in this one. So we're coming. We're coming for you, Chiefs. Don't get too comfortable in the AFC West. The Chargers definitely, in my opinion, are the biggest threat to take the division in 2022, but we'll talk about that more in just a second. Our missing stars, okay? Normally we like to do a stat check in this one, but I do think that these are more important to cover as far as the narrative of this game. Being even before kickoff, the Chargers had a couple of missing players, as did the Chiefs. The Chiefs were missing Chris Jones, which is definitely a big, presence felt as far as him not being there. But the Chargers were also missing Asante Samuel Jr., Rashawn Slater, and that was a pretty big one, man. Asante Samuel Jr., if he was on this field, I think things would have gone down a lot different. We saw Chris Harris Jr. getting burnt quite often by Tyreek Hill, which was a bad mismatch against the Chargers a lot of the time in that game. I think Asante Samuel would have drawn a lot of that coverage, or should have been put in coverage versus Tyreek Hill for a majority of that game. And it feels like at one point the Chargers roster looked composed of second teamers. And a lot of times in that game because of all the injuries. Asante Samuel, Slater, Eckler, Williams, Keenan, Derwin, Parham, all these guys out at least one point in this game, if not for the entire thing. And despite these missing players, the Chargers put up a really, really good fight. So we need to acknowledge reasons why things went down the way they did. And I think the biggest reason why, it definitely had to be with some of our missing personnel. There was a lot of players in and out of this game throughout the entire course of that game, and it really did have an effect on the outcomes. We have to keep that in mind going forward. One of the biggest ones being Derwin James, man. You'll see this highlight photo of Derwin James because of just how important he is to this team. He is so important to this defense. He's the foundation. Derwin is the foundation of the Chargers defense. And like a lot of us know, he was only in for a couple of series before having to exit to the sideline with a hamstring issue. This is how big his presence was to this defense, man. While on the field and while he was covering Travis Kelce, Kelce was held to one catch with 14 yards with Derwin James on the field. When Derwin James was not on the field, 9 catches for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Could the contrast be more clear as to how important it was to have Derwin James in this game? The absence of Derwin James was felt hard in this game, and that's part of drawing the short stick. We're hoping Derwin James would be good for this game. If he was in this game, if he played the full game, I think the Chargers win, no doubt. Travis Kelce, those 2 touchdowns, maybe one of them, maybe he still scores 1 touchdown, but maybe definitely not that second touchdown that ended up clutching the game for the Chiefs in overtime. That was a big one, and it was definitely a game that we needed Derwin, and that's, again, part of the short stick philosophy that I'm kind of coming into this video with. It was very unfortunate that we couldn't have Derwin. We weren't at full strength to fight the Chiefs in Week 15. So Derwin James, we have to hope that he recovers very soon. Again, 10 days until our next game. Chargers have some time to recover, and it could not come at a more pivotal moment as the Chargers try to make a strong playoff push here at the tail end of the season. Next up, goal line and drop struggles. The Chargers look to have this game locked up several times, potentially, but 3 drop touchdowns result in a loss. One of them being a fumble at the goal line. That one hurt. That one hurt. I remember when they were lining up for this play, I kept screaming to the TV. I kept screaming to you guys in the chat. This has to be a sneak. Justin Herbert, dude. Sneak, sneak, sneak. He should have gotten the call. 6'6", he falls forward. That's a first down. But instead, the decision goes to Joshua Kelly. And honestly, Kelly has kind of been known for these sorts of situations, fumbling in big situations. This is a reason why he ranked as one of the worst, running backs in the league last year. One of the reasons why he was a cut candidate for us at the top of this season. Kind of came out here and did it again. And unfortunately for Joshua Kelly, you cannot do things like this. Joshua Kelly elected the LaDainian Tomlinson leap over the line. That just does not work in these situations. The low man wins most of the time. You risk fumbling the ball when you go over the line like that. And unfortunately for Joshua Kelly, he did not have a good enough grip, not enough focus on that play, and cost the Chargers at least 3 points, if not a touchdown, with that decision. And honestly, that can also go on the coaches a little bit. I don't know if I call on Joshua Kelly in that situation, especially when you're on the goal line with Justin Herbert. You could just as easily sneak it. And they had, 2 or 3 chances where they could have at least tried one sneak. I think that would have been a touchdown. Still, man, I don't know. It just, the drops, the fumble, it all kind of adds up to some bad decisions, but again, a lot of bad luck. The drops that we saw, Donald Parham, of course, we're not going to blame him for that one. You take a hit like that, your health is definitely more important than coming down with a touchdown. Mike Williams dropping one. He got tackled perfectly. I think he dropped a couple with some perfect hits, some perfect tackles, and then one to, I think it was Jared Cook, that was thrown a little bit too far in front of him. Again, just very unfortunate. Any one of those touchdowns is made, the Chargers, again, would win this game. But you know what? Despite the loss, Justin Herbert did look incredible, did he not? Escaping pressure, throws on the run, deep passes. It was all in there. It was all in there. His decision-making was on point. He's a young quarterback. The kind of development that we've seen in just this season has been incredible, and he showed it out there on the field on on Thursday as well. And even using his legs, we see in this photo him taking it in himself for the touchdown. That's a big piece of his game that the Chargers are starting to embrace, which is great to see for this team. But again, dropped passes definitely hurt his stat line. I think he ended the day with around 130, 140 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is still pretty solid, but it could have been a lot bigger with some touchdowns that were hauled in by his receivers. And honestly, the biggest thing that I saw in this game was a direct contrast between him and Patrick Mahomes. Give me Herbert all day, man. Patrick Mahomes is not the same player from the past. I don't know if that's going to continue into 2022, but if it does, man, Justin Herbert, without a doubt in my mind, is a better quarterback at this time. And that honestly does foreshadow a Justin Herbert overtaking the AFC West in the future. So Justin Herbert, bravo to him. He played a heck of a game. Despite all the injuries, despite all the bad luck, he was out there leading this team, hoping to grab the victory. Next up, vets carry the protection. Now, first off, I have to give some props to the Chargers' running game. The run game was strong as ever, and I think a lot of it has to do with how good this offensive line played. You guys see it there, number 79. Making some good decisions in this game. Trey Pipkins really stepped up in this game. And I think, like we alluded to in the game preview, a lot of it has to do with the veteran help of Corey Linsley and Matt Filer. A line led by Linsley and Filer is very impressive. With some help from those veteran guys, it really feels like we got the best version of Trey Pipkins as we could have possibly hoped for. He had a solid game. Like I said several times yesterday in the chat, 79's in the chat. We don't get to say that very often. I do think the chemistry that's been built on this offensive line definitely helps elevate these players to an acceptable level. So honestly, Trey Pipkins, bravo to him. The Chargers offensive line, one more signing like these guys, like Filer and Linsley, this line should be solid going into next season. We need a right tackle, maybe some depth at, opposite tackle and guard, but honestly, this offensive line, which has been such a problem for so many years, is starting to look really good, and it's because of these key signings that we saw last year with Linsley, Filer, and hopefully Ibushi, who comes back next season too, who is also having a solid year as well. Next up, the defense had some stellar moments, did they not? This is like the most uncontrasted picture I've ever seen, unsaturated picture I've ever seen. But still, look at this photo, man. Patrick Mahomes sees what just happened in front of him. Disaster. Joey Bosa forces the fumble. Here comes Uchenna Nwosu or Jerry Tillery to recover. What a game by the defense in several moments, right? Uchenna Nwosu had a great game yet again. He got that interception. He tipped it to himself, got the interception. Uchenna Nwosu's out there trying to earn a contract, right? He's doing a really solid job at it. He's starting to really develop into that guy opposite Joey Bosa. A lot of us were super worried that he wouldn't become that guy. He didn't really have a lot of moments like that in the first half of the year, but he's really starting to shine here as we're getting close to the end of the season. Joey Bosa once again logs a strip sack. A lot of guys know that he leads the league in that statistic. He's been one of the best strip sack specialists, I'll say, in the NFL. He continues to show out in this one against Patrick Mahomes. And as far as the defensive backs, the DBs, coverage at times was locked down, especially when Derwin James was on the field. It definitely declined when Derwin made an exit with his hamstring. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge there were some really, really good moments by the defense. The defense did struggle at the end of the game. They were super tired, man. They were out there so long. The time of possession was kind of crazy for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially since they got the ball first in overtime. That was also an unlucky thing to happen to the Chargers. If they got the ball first, if the Chargers got the ball first, I think this would have been a win for the Chargers. There's a lot of factors that come into play with how this game went down in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. Next up, speaking of which, Mahomes won't be able to protect the AFC West for long. We saw firsthand what 2021 Mahomes looks like, and honestly, I'm not too impressed. There's a lot of things that he did that are stellar. You know, he can still be lethal at times, but he's become incredibly inconsistent. Missed passes, hurried throws, bad decisions, bad aim, honestly. There was that one 4th down conversion that should have been a touchdown, and Mahomes underthrows it by like 3 yards, and it hits the dirt. That stuff you cannot do as a quarterback, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's an injury thing. I don't know the circumstances behind Patrick Mahomes and his decline this season, his inconsistency this season. But all this tells me is that Herbert's coming to claim the West in 2022, man. Don't get too comfortable, Patrick. Don't get too comfortable, Chiefs and Chiefs fans. The Chargers are coming, and Justin Herbert continues to develop into one of the best quarterbacks in the league while the Chiefs continue to struggle. I don't know, man. I think the AFC West is going to be wide open for the Chargers to take in 2022. And Patrick Mahomes, unless he can figure something out next season, he's not showing me a lot of evidence of being able to protect that AFC West title for too long. Next up, coaching controversy. This is probably one of the biggest things that you guys wanted me to cover, and this is one of the most sensitive topics I think I could have covered in this video. And honestly, I wanted to make it a short segment, but I do think this is very important, one that I want people to understand my view on. You don't have to agree with me, but I want to make it very clear my views on this, because again, very many fans are upset with the coaching decisions. A lot of them did cost us. I'm not going to defend him and say, you know, he's impervious to criticism. You know, those field goals would have won us this game. Several field goals yielded for 4th down decisions. I think the Chargers were something like 2 and 5 on 4th downs that game. But at the same time, you know, despite these points giving us the win in this game, I still stand by the decision. You know, Staley stated that we're forming an identity of this team. He said something in his post-conference that that's the way we're going to play. That's the way the identity of this team is going to be formed. And when you're playing a team like the Chiefs, these are the decisions that need to be made. And honestly, even though like I was panicking, I wanted to take the points at times. Other times I wanted to take the 4th down. You know, I stand by the aggressiveness. I think this is kind of what you want to see out of a team that makes it to the Super Bowl. You have to take risks. You have to be courageous. You got to take those gutsy calls to try and take the victory, take the title. You know, you can't just cruise control into the Super Bowl. You really have to take some risks. And honestly, it's the first time in a long time that I've seen the Chargers act this way. And it's better. It's better than what we saw with Anthony Lynn. It's better than we saw with McCoy. It's better than what we saw with Norv Turner. And this is something I want Chargers fans to give a chance. Give a chance to this mentality. Because as the team, as the Chargers and their players better understand how to execute these decisions, this team will become unstoppable. The players themselves have said that they want to keep the game in their hands, that they are capable of taking those decisions and turning it into victories. And honestly, again, this mentality versus the conservative mentality that I've been honestly born and raised into as a Chargers fan, I much prefer this, because it feels like the Chargers are going out there and taking it rather than let's see what happens. And that's the way I want to see this team play the game of football. And I honestly think it's the most exciting way, the most aggressive way, and honestly the most hard-fought way. And I do definitely respect it. Could we have won the game with more conservative decisions? Of course we could have. But I honestly don't criticize the decisions as much because it does make sense. It really does make sense, especially in the modern NFL with the way things are unfolding and the way teams are playing. So my final statement here, my final segment, I should say, the future is bright. Despite all these injuries, the bad luck, the scary moments with Donald Parham, this team rocked. They really did. There's a reason why we all felt like this should have been a win. There's a reason why we all felt like the Chargers had a handle on the Chiefs. We had an awesome first possession with Andre Roberts returning it for like 60 yards or something ridiculous. And all that came to a halt when we had, again, a bad luck circumstance with Donald Parham, a scary one that we don't blame on Donald at all, but one that definitely, sucked the momentum out of the stadium. Chargers fans everywhere, all around the world, were holding their breath, hoping that Donald Parham was okay. That kind of set the tone, did it not? It kind of not set the tone, but it kind of foreshadowed the events that we were going to see in this game, from injuries, bad luck, and stuff like that. Despite all of that, this team rocked. Herbert and Staley, they're doing something special in Los Angeles. In his second year, Herbert's a top 3 quarterback in my opinion. Staley's having a stellar year in his first season as a head coach. 8-6 is awesome for a first-year head coach, guys. You go back and look at most first-year head coaches, a lot of them don't make it to their second year, and even more of them don't have an 8-6 record at this point of the season. The Chargers have a stupid amount of money to spend in 2022. Again, upwards of $80-85 million. Insane. They're going to load up. They're going to load up as the Chiefs continue to decline. This is going to cause a shift, guys. Honestly, I get it. The Bolts will take the AFC West in 2022. Many will point out that the next year mantra is a bad or silly take, but for the first time in over a decade as a Chargers fan, the data really backs this statement up. Between the improvements at coaching and quarterback, some would say defense, the money that we have to spend, the trends that we're seeing in the NFL, the history of what we've seen from Super Bowl teams in the last 10 years, the Chargers' next year statement holds strong, holds true. So next season, guys, get excited. I told you guys this in my stream yesterday. If you haven't subscribed, if you guys aren't subscribed, I was looking at my analytics the other day. I think something like 20% of my views are subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, do it now, because I'm super excited to share with you guys and hype up this offseason with you guys as to the possibilities of what the Chargers are about to do, the angles that they can take. If Tom Telesco and this Chargers organization don't make a flurry of moves this offseason, I think we have a reason to be upset, because there's no reason. The data backs it up. History backs it up. They have to go out there and be aggressive, just as they are in the season, in the offseason as well, with their decision-making, their signings, and their shifts as far as making the team better. It's going to happen. It has to happen. This is the moment Chargers fans have been waiting for a very, very long time. So to close this video out, the answer to the question, if you guys remember at the top of the video, what is your new record prediction for the Chargers now that we're 8-6? My answer to that question is that this season is not done. This game certainly does put a hamper on the Chargers' hype and the Chargers' situation. The Chargers still have a solid chance, everybody, to win out the rest of the season and make the postseason. It's actually more than likely that the Chargers do end up with this with their strength of schedule, right? We've got the Texans, the Broncos, and the Raiders. More than likely, the Chargers can make the postseason if they have a solid, close to the year. And I think, honestly, my answer to that question is 11-6. I think the Chargers win out. Based on the strength of schedule and the way the Chargers are playing, I think they win out and they end the season 11-6. And that's honestly what my record prediction was at the start of the season, was 11-6. So I'm going to hold true to that. 11-6 is my prediction. Let me know what your guys' prediction is in the comment section below. But I think there's a high chance that they win out and a high chance that they make the postseason. So bottom line in this video, this is a hard-fought game. Despite everything, this is a hard-fought game, and I'm very proud of this team. I'm proud of the coaches. I'm proud of Justin Herbert and these players. I'm proud of the effort that I saw out there on the field. Despite all of the controversies, despite all of the adversity, the Chargers went out there and played a hard game out there. The evidence is stacking in the Bolts' favor as to who will run this division going forward. The wait is almost over, Chargers fans. We're almost there. We're coming. Chiefs fans, Raiders fans, Broncos fans, we're coming. Don't get comfortable. Because next season, the Chargers, in their third year with Justin Herbert, their second year with Brandon Staley, and $85 million to spend in the postseason, we're going to take the AFC West. And this game, despite the loss, was evidence of that to me. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you did like this content, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Help us get to 50,000 subs. That is my goal as of right now. Well, again, guys, thank you so much. Remember to enter that giveaway. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Let's go, Bolts. We got this.